I'll tell y'all something about Cat Williams. They say Cat Williams is crazy. Guess what? He is. Rightfully, because if you rich like that, nigga, be crazy. Cat crazy. Cat a fucking pimp. I seen that nigga had 3 bitches washing his car in the rain.
Keep it dry, bitches. Keep it dry. If you love me, keep it dry.
Cat be talking to niggas sometimes, and you feel like you a bitch. You try not to, but you get caught up in that shit. That nigga was having a conversation with me one night. He said,
D-Ray, I want to do something with you, but what we gonna do is we gonna be 2 different things. You gonna be Mountain Dew, I'm gonna be Pepsi. You gonna do your thing, I'm gonna do mine. And we'll never clash, nobody know we's ever together. I was like, so I'm Mountain Dew? Yes, you is, bitch. You're Mountain Dew.
You motherfucker. I ain't Mountain Dew, nigga.
Story goes. Baby, now I got the flow, 'cause I know it from the start. Baby, when you broke my heart, that I had to come again and show you that I win. You lied to me. All those times I said that I love you. You lied to me. Yes, I tried. Yes, I tried. You lied to me. Even though you know I'd die for you. You lied to me. Yes, I cried. Yes, I cried. Return after me. Return after me. Come on. Return after me. Oh my God. You know that I've been here. I am. Return after me. Once again. Return after me. Top of the world. Return after me. Watch my flow. You know that I've been here. I go. So I'm back up in the days. Running things to take my swine. Letting all the people know that I'm back to run the show. 'Cause what they did, you know was wrong. And all the nasty things you done. So baby, listen carefully while I sing my comeback song. You lied to me. She said she'd never turn on me. You lied to me. But you did. But you did. You lied to me. All this pain you said I'd never be. You lied to me. But I do. Return after me. Return after me. Hold on. Return after me. Don't you know? You know that I've been here. I go. Return after me. Oh little girl. Return after me. What's my pearl? Return after me. Up and down. You know that I've been round and round.
Stop lying about your big break.
You lied to me. She said she'd never turn on me. You lied to me. But you did. You lied to me. All this pain you said I'd never be. You lied to me. But I do. Return after me. Return after me. Come on. Return after me. Oh my God. You know that I've been here. I am. Return after me. Once again. Return after me. Top of the world. Return after me. Watch my flow. You know that I've been here. Don't you know that I turn after me. Return after me. Hold on. Return after me. Be strong. You know that I've been here. I come. Return after me. My little girl. Return after me. What's my baby? Return after me. Up and down.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 122 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. It is September 6, 2018. It's a good day. In the words of Ice Cube, today is a good day. It's a good day to drop some good wrestling audio. Today is just a good day to shoot the shit. That's what we do.
I don't know if I like you. We traded you a player, not our captain. So relax. with how you start your show.
I've been waiting to do that for the last couple of days. Anyways, welcome to the program, everybody. My name's Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshy. Shout out to everybody who listens to the podcast each week, whether it's on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. You guys are the real MVPs. I'm alongside my good brother from another mother, Adam Daly, the Clown Prince. What's going on, my man?
Josh, what's up? Listen, it's funny because I know that for years now we've always clowned about like the difference between like the teams that I follow and the Pittsburgh sports scene and the Chicago sports scene, because not all my teams are Pittsburgh teams. But you and I are going to end the show with a great debate today, my friend. It's going to be
going down.
It's going to be it's I think going to be a little different than what people think. But yeah, we have some bones to pick of the NFL variety later on, my friend.
Yeah, we got some sports stuff to talk about at the end of the podcast. It's recording. It's on a Thursday, and we got the Falcons and the Eagles. So going on NBC tonight, the first game of the NFL season. I also wanted to drop in my predictions for the Bears this year and get some Super Bowl stuff out of the way at the end. But we'll leave the sports stuff towards the end. We're here to talk wrestling. We're going to talk about All In. We're going to talk about the build-up to Hell in a Cell. There's a lot of wrestling going on. I think I say this every single week, but it seems like a new show or pay-per-view is coming up after I say that in this podcast. But I'm going to sprinkle in some thoughts about the Mae Young Classic in between the show, and then we're going to start off talking about All In. But some business things to get out of the way. If you like what we do here in the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, please give us a subscribe on our YouTube channel, on Apple Podcasts. Leave us an honest rating of the podcast. If there's any suggestions you'd like to hear for us, we're open ears because we want to bring something different to the table. I like to look at this podcast as a show where two guys are having fun, brothers just talking and just living that good life and just spread some good vibes where we're making you laugh or having a good, passionate conversation about a wrestling show. That's what we're here for. We're here to make your day better, whether it's make you laugh or make you have a different perspective on different things. So that's why we're here. We're here to have some fun. So speaking of fun, Chicago had a very fun weekend as a whole. Maybe not Mayor Robert Emanuel, who's deciding not to re-elect or go for another term.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way. That's actually pretty big news.
Yeah, big bombshell news dropped last night. Our mayor is not going to go for another term, which is very interesting because this could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, especially with who we have running for our governor in the states. So I really don't know. Things are up in the air with my state as a whole, especially in the politics. And there's unfortunately a Trump Tower by State Street. I don't know. Things are not looking good.
Well, here's where I'm at. I don't know enough about Chicago politics to get or the strife that's in Chicago.
You guys don't want to be bored with that.
Well, no. My thing is, I don't want to use it like I don't like when people use it as a political talking point because they're not there. They don't. I wouldn't want people to talk about my town as a political talking point unless they've been here. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't want to say one way or the other, but. That's just crazy, man. That that it's probably it's overdue. In fairness, and I'm not trying to take any political sides on that one. Listen, my family ruined that city. We know for years upon years upon years. You can link the names, ladies and gentlemen. But I've been told by uncles. It's one of those where like everyone knocks Elizabeth Warren. She says she's Native American. Yeah, like all of our families tell us like, oh, you're related to the Daily political family from Chicago, or oh, well, this side of your family was in the mafia in Chicago, or this. Everybody has stupid family things that they like tell that probably aren't true. Although I do have a mafia ring. That's neither here nor there.
Oh God,
not mine, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It's passed out. And it probably wasn't even that. My mother probably got it in one of those like bubblegum machines and was like just made up a story like, here, this was your great uncle DiPietro's. And this was a fucking like it was probably the actual origin story.
I'll say this, man. A lot of the people on Obama's team are dropping like flies in the system right now. But I wanted to bring something up.
Our political system, and before that, both Republicans and Democrats are shit on both sides. It's just terrible. It's horrifying. It is horrifying.
In the words of JR, it's bowling shoe ugly, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you something. There's two big topics outside of wrestling that seems to be getting everybody's attention. It's either the Nike controversy with Colin Kaepernick or this thing with Eminem and MGK. I like Eminem. I always been an Eminem fan for years. I like the guy. I don't know him personally. I really don't. It's different.
It'd be a lot cooler if he did.
Yeah, I know. He's one of the most interesting people out there from all forms of entertainment. So it'd be cool to beat him one of these days. But anyways, this whole new thing about, there's going to be a new beef. Eminem and MGK threw a diss at him and this and that. I feel like creativity is the biggest problem in hip-hop right now, if I'm being honest, as a music fan. And I do appreciate hip-hop music. I know my tastes are kind of different because I'm more catered to the 90s hip-hop and some of the 80s groups. But I don't know. I listened to MGK's thing, and I know he has his pocket of fans, and I'm not going to rip the guy or anything like that because I seen him on the Chester Bennington tribute concert, and he did a paper cut with Mike Shinoda. I thought that was pretty cool. I know people have their feelings different towards him. I know he did. He brought up John Cena at WrestleMania 28, which you and Sam were at. He also got powerbombed off the stage by Kevin Owens, which was really cool. So, my point is, I'm kind of indifferent to whatever this thing is going to be with Eminem and MGK because I don't have a strong feeling on MGK, and I'm also a big Eminem fan. So I don't know. I'm indifferent towards it.
All right, so two things. The Kaepernick thing is gonna be so quick. I'll make people's heads spin. It's so funny how upset people get when there's a person that inspires other people to be greater than themselves. People get so mad at somebody for that. There's a lot of people that were upset with Muhammad Ali back in the day that are kissing his ass right now, calling him the greatest of all time. So, time will tell with Colin Kaepernick. But I think with Nike, unless it's affecting your life personally, I don't understand why you're. It's just comedy to me because I don't see why why everybody's so uptight about it or upset. It's obviously working for Nike, they're making money, and besides, history will be the gauge of a lot. Nothing's ever told in the present. And again, it's that's unless that's affecting you personally. If that really affects you that much personally, then you should probably also not watch football. There's a lot that you shouldn't do, including don't wear an American flag. That's flag code. There's a flag code, and we'll talk about the flag code if you want to, because you're not supposed to wear the American flag anywhere on your body. So if you're really going to talk about being unpatriotic, all you patriots out there that are wearing the little American flag pin, and you got the little flags, and you're doing this with your flags, guess what? It's flag code. It's flag code. You guys are un-American. It's flag code. It's so trivial and pointless, man. So I think that Colin Kaepernick, for what he's done, the commercial is he sacrificed everything to advance the right narrative in this country. So listen, this conversation weren't happening before. There was people trying to stifle the conversation, but it's just too loud at this point. So that's all that is on Cap. When it comes to
you always hear the saying that honesty is the biggest thing to get people triggered.
Absolutely.
One way or another. Mm-hmm. And my only stance I ever had on Kaepernick was just his football play. There's never been anything personal or political wise. Trust me, I live in a city that gets national attention about police violence and guns and this and that, racial.
Yeah, your city's
nonsense.
Unfairly judged.
So I support everything he's doing and taking a stand in what he believes in as a human. The NFL is the most fucked up, corrupt league in all sports.
Right. Listen, I guess that's where I think that where I step back and I look at everybody that's arguing about Colin Kaepernick and saying, "Oh, you don't even know what people don't even know what we're arguing about." you know what, you're right, because all the people that say the protests are wrong and how dare these players, and these players, to anybody that doesn't know this, that you should know this, you should be at least educated on what you're arguing about 24/7 when you're going into football season with a sour taste in your mouth already. But it wasn't until the 2009 season that the players were on the field for the national anthem. They kept them in the locker room, they played the national anthem, and then the players ran out onto the field after the national anthem. The only time the players were on the field for the national anthem, I think, was the Super Bowl. Now, with that being said, the reason why that the players are on the field now is because the NFL has a deal with the military. This is what should trigger you guys, what I'm about to tell you. Not players kneeling. Remember, Colin Kaepernick went to a military veteran and said, what's the best way that I should do this? And it's supposed to, he knelt to show grace, to show that he is bowing, he is kneeling before he is in a way kneeling to a higher power in a way. Yeah. Meaning the flag. Now, but I mean, I don't know. What would our serving military know? I mean, that's, who cares? I'm not saying that man was speaking for all vets. That's not what I'm saying either. So I understand, But here's my question. Instead of being mad at, what's going on with somebody taking a knee, especially when, before all of this came about, everyone was the national anthem was when you ran, you went and took a piss, or you're running into the game because you're too busy beer bonging out in the parking lot, or half the people in Buffalo have to get their last couple lines of coke in before they fucking go into the game. It's so crazy that we hold these players to a certain standard when none of the rest of us act that way. And like I said, Jeff, so getting back to that, it was in 2009. That's when the players had to start going out on the field because the NFL made a deal with the military. The armed services actually pay the NFL. I'm going to say this again. The armed services pay the NFL to have the players out there. The NFL has that month. We have our military month. The military makes $0 off of it. They get zero kickback. Anything you buy that's camouflaged that has an NFL logo on it, and if you think some of that money's going to the military, you're sadly mistaken. The NFL has stated you're getting more of a payment in the exposure that we give you than anything we could give you financially. So instead of getting mad and upset about players fighting for the injustices that they feel in the world because their skin color's a little bit different, there's a cause that we should all be able to get behind. And that's the NFL taking our military for fucking crooks. Like gangbusters. They're robbing them blind. And then using them as leverage as a political tool. It's fun. Trump wants to talk about how American he is. Why don't we talk about that? Instead of a player kneeling that truly should affect nobody. Let's talk about the NFL basically robbing the military.
Right.
That is what upsets me. Cap taking a knee, players taking a knee because they want to raise awareness. Sometimes when you have that platform, you can do that. Just like people can take a knee when they wanted to pray, just like people can put a cross, they can say a prayer, they can do. Listen, that's what you're allowed to do. But when it comes to robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you're not paying Paul, you're keeping the money, I have a problem. I have a problem with that. So if let's pick the right fight. And here's some breaking news. As we're picking the right fight, actor Burt Reynolds is dead at 82. So we lost a great mustache. We're arguing about the wrong things. Magnum PI wouldn't settle for this. No, that's Tom Selleck. I'm getting mustaches mixed up here. Jesus. But anyway, but that's why I get mad about that, man, because I know a lot of people that served. I know, I had family that served. I know people that got lost in this senseless shit that we've been in, locked for like the past fucking 20 years now, 16 years, 20 years. And it's just the point, man, for me, it's more upsetting to see that the NFL was, from a business standpoint, the NFL is just robbing our armed forces. But it's easier to pick on a couple black players because they know. Let's just get it out there, guys. You don't like the truth. They know that there are social injustices in this world. I'm not saying that it's just they sprung out of nowhere. They've been here. It's just, unfortunately, all the ugly in the world is coming out. And if we got to deal with the ugly of a Nazi marching on our street and say they're allowed to do that, I'm going to side with these players saying that they can take a knee and be okay with it.
Mm.
What was the other thing people were arguing about? Eminem and MGK. Listen,
Yeah.
okay, so this is the thing. You're right. The game got boring. M's challenging people to do better. He's just calling people out. That's all. He's basically saying here. He's challenging the game because the hip hop right now is lazy. It all sounds the same. Lambo. Everybody says something. Lambo. Gonna talk about something like this. Lambo. Everybody want to say something. Lambo. And then I got a car in the back. Lambo. Everything. The cadence, this everything. It's annoying, man. M's challenging people. That's all. He don't care how many arrows get shot at him. He's trying to strike the game back up. He's martyring himself, like Colin Kaepernick.
Interesting. Like you mentioned, I want to send our condolences to the family of Burt Reynolds. That sucks.
I want to send condolences to his mustache. What's his Can we shave the stash? Or does it get buried with him? I don't know what to do. What do we do with it? Not to make light of it. It's never too soon though.
This is where I bring the professional segue. Who has a better beard, Burt Reynolds or Joey Ryan?
Oh, that's such a goal, man. Man, I gotta go Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan's mustache, but I don't know if Joey Ryan would have that mustache if not for Burt Reynolds. So, I mean, it's one of those where you kind of have to. It's a chicken and egg situation.
That's true. All In took over the Hoffman Estates Des Plaines area of Chicago this past weekend. Shout out to all you wrestling fans who had a good time at StarCast. It came out without a hitch. It seemed like everybody had a good time. There wasn't any big issues arrest-wise or fights or anything that I've heard yet. Everything came out pretty good. So shout out to Conrad and everybody that was responsible for StarCast and acting like civilized human beings for once. And let's get into the pay-per-view. I've been wanting to save my full thoughts on the show as a whole until we came here because I think this is the proper platform to talk about this. Ladies and gentlemen, social media sucks. I'm just going to throw that out there. Social media fucking sucks. It's pointless. It's worthless. The sole reason I'm on Twitter or Facebook is to promote my work. That's it. Nothing else and nothing more. I wanted to save my thoughts here because it's better to explain myself on air than having 280 characters or back and forth tweets where you're misreading somebody's approach to a response to you. And we're not in high school. We're not in elementary school. I shouldn't be having to second guess your opinions and this and that. I don't know what happened to the days where you can have a regular conversation with somebody face to face or on the phone. Maybe I'm old school in that. That's just my opinion. But anyways, All In, from my point of view, was something that I appreciated. It was something that it was worth the $40 I spent out of my own money to pay for. I was able to cover the show live. It was a lot of fun. I have my concerns of how long the show is going to be, but just from an overall presentation standpoint, I wasn't expecting anything that was going to be groundbreaking. I was coming into the show and just watching a wrestling show. I think there's too much of a hysteria of what All In was going to be and, this is going to be the second coming of this or the second coming of that. All In's not a promotion. All In is a movement of believing in what you do as an artist, a creator, a wrestler, anything. All In is
Lollapalooza. It's a celebration of professional wrestling.
It's a celebration of hustle and work ethic. And that's what I took away from the show, from every performer that was on that show. For performers who got their first opportunity to have national exposure like that, whether it was the 0 Hour show or the show in general. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. It was better than what I thought it was going to be. I had a couple matches that really stood out to me the most. Marty Scurll and Okada.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. me being a New Japan guy, Okada's just the man. I'll be honest, Okada is probably one of the easiest wrestlers to transcribe out of any of the shows I cover, because his style is textbook in a way, where he has similar moves to a Randy Orton, but he finds a way to tell a story to get you hooked no matter how long a match is. I love Okada, and Marty Scurll's the man as well. The Kenny Omega Pentagon Junior match was as good as I thought it was going to be. I think I called it last week. Not okay. I didn't call shit, but it was nice to see Chris Jericho make a run in on this show.
No, you mentioned it. You mentioned it on the show.
It had to be Chicago for him to make an appearance like that. I think Chicago is Jericho City, and that moment of him to – speaking of hustle, dude, the guy stole the show and promoted his cruise on a live pay-per-view. If you don't want to call that hustle, and then going to Kansas City to do a rock show later on that night, I don't want to – Chris Jericho. and
I made the joke last time too. Last time he was under the hood and like kind of pulled the hood on. And he had the makeup on underneath. I made the joke that he looked like Axl Rose in the Black Parade, like Axl Rose doing, you know. And it was even more so this time too, because he had the Sugar Skull style that's worn. But I loved when the lights went out. I was sitting there thinking like, man, who could this be? Like, what's, you know. And it wasn't until like the very last minute I went, oh shit, it really is Jericho. You know, it was like, damn it, he fooled me again. And then I popped. It was great.
Yeah, but overall, man, I really enjoyed it. Even like the Battle Royal, the over the budget Battle Royal was just really funny.
I missed that. I'm upset I missed that.
Billy Gunn's son has as much energy as his dad does. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I'd imagine that's a good thing in that business. You probably need that much energy.
Flip Gordon got booked after all, and he had his chance at the Ring of Honor World title. We got to see a little black machismo, maybe too much black machismo. I don't know. It's funny. The Poppos are actually from Illinois, Randy's family. So that's pretty cool. Nice tie in there. And then my favorite part of the show was the Cody Rhodes Magnus match for the NWA World title. Just the presentation, the match, how everything was. I thought it was really cool. So overall, I enjoyed All In. No, I don't think other wrestling promotions are clicking their heels and cringing their teeth and scared. I don't know why that's a talking point, but whatever. It was cool. It was cool.
You know what, man? I think it's a talking point because it's in life now. Everything has to be us versus you. Everything's a competition. It can never just be, yay, man, I heard you guys liked All In, and that was awesome. I heard you guys liked Raw. That's cool too. It's never like, it has to be this is better than that, and we have to argue about what's wrong with each other's products, not what's right with each other's products. Now, here's from my standpoint. Obviously, I don't keep up with as much Ring of Honor or New Japan as I used to. I keep up with certain talents, not certain storylines or anything like that. Here's the high points for me, and I don't want to. I am going to put these in, I guess, in some sort of order. I do. For me, Marty and Okada was absolutely, for me, like I was on the edge of my seat. And I really didn't think that, I thought that Okada would go over, but like they had me for a while thinking like, wow, this Marty might go over, it's like this, Josh, you know this, we were joking about the stuff in Chicago, but for like a year I debated, like, because I've had my hair long for quite some time, but like it was like I don't want to cut my hair. I don't want to cut my hair. And like for the longest time I was like, I want to cut it like Marty Scurll. And like so finally I was like, and Sam was just like laughing. She was like, all right, do it then. So yeah, that's why I have the haircut I do now. It's absolutely I'm totally ripping off the villain. But so listen, was really, really, really. I'm glad that he got the spotlight that he did. I'm glad that he got his match was as late on the card as it was. I'm glad that he got the showcase that he did, because that match I feel like is going to do so much for Marty as putting him on the map. That I feel that he gets overlooked a lot, and I think he's phenomenal. I think he's super charismatic. I think he's one of the guys that if they ever wanted to, not saying that they have to anymore, but if he wanted to, he absolutely could work WWE style as well, because that's all it is, guys. It's just a different style, and that's where people, it's like Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook. What's your style? He's just, you don't necessarily have to like all the styles. It's just some people that were talented enough to work, to work multiple styles, and he's a guy that I think proved that he can. So that was my biggest takeaway. Was I was super happy for that. I'll admit, man, my number 2, even though you kind of knew this was probably it was happening, but I didn't see it happening this way. I knew Joey Ryan was coming back. I mean, I didn't want to say I knew, but you kind of figured this was like the payoff is for Joey Ryan to come back. I never in a million years did I think this beautiful bastard would come up with an idea of having druid dongs like on the way to the ring. That is because basically that's what they were, right? They were just Undertaker druids, but giant dongs. Like that gorgeous, wonderful bastard him. Like, thank you, Joey Ryan, for always and I know there's a lot of people that are upset with that, and he's just known as just the dick guy, and and sometimes his creativity overshadows his ability in the ring and his ability to connect with people, and that kind of stuff. But this is why I've always enjoyed Joey Ryan. I've always followed Joey Ryan, is that he's never let the fun kind of get. There is a certain sector of our fan base that takes this way too serious, and Joey Ryan is the guy that's never going to let us do that. He's never going to let us go all, you know what I mean? And he's going to make sure that, and it's a great gimmick. It's a great shtick. I mean, it's perfect for him. He does it so well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I laughed and I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. And dude, it was funny because I was like, we kind of knew what was going on. And when he was waking up, we'll just say, it was like, I just looked at Sam. I was like, yeah, I don't know if AJ should be watching this. And I was like, you know what? Just in case, AJ, why don't you just go in the other room for a second or two, just like close your eyes or something like that. And thankfully it was, for that, in a moment thing, because she can differentiate, I think, between a fake death and all that, but in certain things, maybe not at this point. But again, that's not pro wrestling, guys. That's called parenting. And thank you, Joey Ryan, for doing that, because there was still that adult theme. And I'm not saying that, we get that in WWE. We just have to get it. We get it a little more subtly. We get it more like we get it in like Pixar movies and stuff like that. This is an event where it can be a little more in your face, if you will. Pardon the pun. So I just thought that, on that kind of platform, when you have an idea that's – honestly, dude, that to me, Josh, is like that was – I always compare WWE to SNL because like sketch comedy and stuff like that. To me, that's writing brilliance. That's long term. That's – I'd love to know like when he thought of like or whoever thought of the idea of like, we're going to have druids, but they're going to be giant dicks. That was fucking, and that's not in no way would that be, that's obviously paying homage to I don't like people like that's disrespectful. Listen, parody is the most sincere form of flattery, man. So I think that was great. 3, listen, I agree with the Omega Pentagon match. That was fucking fantastic. Jericho coming in at the end like that was, again, it was another one of those moments. This pay-per-view was full of moments. We always talk about this, Josh. A lot of times it's not about every show. It's not about every segment. It's about the moments, that you get here and there, the matches that you get here and there, and when you have this much time to build up, I really didn't. I'll admit the only thing that I if I'm nitpicking, because everybody has to nitpick and be petty, I just think maybe the announce team could use a little work. But at the end of the day, I kind of also like that though. I like that they weren't as polished as technically quote unquote people want them to be or feel that they should be. I like that it had more of an indie feel. So I don't know, man. I think that this paid off in spades. Like, I think I couldn't be happier for everybody that helped put this together, that was a part of it, that got a chance to go, that got a chance to be there. You know, it's just everybody that was a part of this in one way, shape, or form. I do feel like we were all of part of something. You know, it doesn't matter where we were watching it, you know. And this isn't taking anything away from WWE or anybody's product on as a standalone. Not Impact, not TNA, not Impact, TNA, whatever they're calling themselves. Not Ring of Honor, not New Japan. I'm not taking anything away from anybody singular. This is, like I said, this, you know, we've been talking about this for months, Josh. I felt this was going to be more of the Lollapalooza type feel, you know, where it's just like the Bonnaroo or whatever music festival you want to add on to, and that's ultimately what they gave us. They really did, and I was thrilled that I was debating not buying it, man. I was actually like, nah. I have to watch it the next day because I got a fantasy football draft to go to, and oh man, I don't want to watch it the next day, mate, because I like watching stuff live, and so I just taped it, and, you know. But I don't know, man. It's one of those where I don't want to, you know, start to compare it to WWE because it's not. It's not. It's you know.
I don't know why you have to. I don't know. I'm not saying you, but I don't know why they had to be brought up.
That's exactly my point. Yeah, because that's the instant comparison. You know, because I went on Twitter and for like 5 seconds and realized why I'm not on social media either. Because it was the instant, you know, when you see people like retweeting like and that's funny because like I just see retweets and just blank things. Because like if I'm just even like my friends, like the people that I stay friends with, if they retweet like dumb people shit that I just don't want to see. Yeah, it's just I'm tired of the same boring narrative of like whining and like or like being overly gracious, like and instead of just enjoying everything for kind of like what it is, or just turn the channel, you know. But yeah, man. But I know that's the narrative is well, why can't a WrestleMania be like this? It is. It's just that you don't
allow yourself to enjoy it.
Thank you. See, the one thing with All In, brother, is that I noticed, Josh, nobody tried to overbook this. You know, we kind of just let it happen. We let it. We just sat back and wanted to see what Cody, the Bucks, Marty, Kenny, like everybody that was involved, basically show us what you want to show us. Show us what you got. And now I guarantee you, though, if this was on same thing, but on Raw, where they would have had a weekly show build up just for even like 3 or 4 weeks, where we would see all these people would have been nitpicking this and apart, where, you know, like if they knew that there was a continuation to the next thing, when in some storylines there are, please don't, you know, I'm not saying that there isn't, but that's what was great about this, was that there were certain points, just like most WWE pay-per-views, where some storylines are going to continue. There were surprises. It's just that we allowed ourselves we allowed ourselves to let it happen versus trying to micromanage what was being shown to us.
Yeah, there's a lot of sports entertainment elements in a lot of wrestling companies. I mean, besides Joey Ryan, you have Scarlett Bordeaux in Impact doing her best Elizabeth Berkley impression and calling herself the Smoke Show. Or you have, like last night, I saw Katrina, or formerly known as Maxine in WWE, the biggest seductive character in Lucha Underground, basically get killed, fall off a ledge of a building yesterday.
No way, are you serious?
Yeah. And she had beef with the ring announcer, Melissa Santos, over a relationship with Phoenix, who also, by the way, Phoenix was dead in Lucha Underground, but came back to life last night on the show. So.
I gotta get caught up. I just don't know how much time I got.
It's fun. You'll enjoy it.
I just watched that Marin stand up again last night, so if I overuse that this week, guys, I'm sorry, but I just don't know how much time I got.
So overall, all in was a success. It was a lot of fun. We're going to try to keep this short, the podcast short a little bit this week, because I do want to get to that Mack trade conversation. I want to get to that.
Yeah, it's funny because we're pressed for time and topics. Yeah. It's a weird week for us, brother. We actually got some solid topics to talk about that people should get a kick out of.
We're good. When I put out the podcast, I'm just going to basically right in the week of WWE, and we can tie it. Any thoughts from all the shows into one. So.
Before we segue, let me ask you just one quick question, Josh. Now that All In came and went, we experienced it. It happened. Seemingly we all loved it. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying. I'd like to know where do you want to see it go from here? Where do you think it could go from here? Or is this something to where once a year, maybe try and do it, maybe like twice a year? Could we eventually go to maybe, if it made sense business-wise, could they maybe pull 4 of these off a year so it felt like that old school 80s type of promotion where they're, it's almost like a big 4, so people were looking forward to those big 4 a little bit more because it's not super dilated with all these other like pay-per-views.
I'm going to go with 3.
Okay, I like that.
I'll go with lucky number 3.
Okay.
I know there's 4 seasons. That's why you have the big 4. We know why why that's structured. So cool. I'll go with 3. That's a good lucky number. But I want to see where this goes of what venues are approving these type of shows, because that will be the curtail of what these guys are doing outside WWE as a success. Because props to Sears Center Arena, pretty cool. I mean, they had an Impact television show there 5 years ago, but to take that next step and see if you get into a United Center or I don't know, the PPG Frozen Chandra Arena.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. So like, I want if more arenas like that, like that fit 10,000 people, bring in those type of shows, then more the better. But also, we got this Ring of Honor New Japan show at Madison Square Garden. That's a big deal,
right?
Like, it's even to the point where I may want to go to New York just to see that show. So
we'll see. And I only bring it up because we're taping this on a Thursday. NXT is actually here in Pittsburgh tomorrow night, which would be Friday night. And they're playing this thing called I think it's Stage AE. It's like an indoor outdoor like little thing, whatever. Okay, but the University of Pittsburgh, where they played, the Peterson Event Center, if that's still what it's called, which I think it is. But I've seen some concerts there and stuff like that. That place is about the size of the Sears Center. And just thinking about not only that, but I don't know what other venues Philly has. If like the old Spectrum's still up there, or if they tore that place down, or what I'm trying to think of just some other because Pittsburgh. What I've noticed is for all the shit that I talked about, Extreme Rules and the way the crowd was. It's because Pittsburgh is still that hardcore ECW style fan. And honestly, Josh, that's what One Night Stand reminded me the most of most recently. Was just a celebration of we did it when like ECW did their One Night Stand show, like the first One Night Stand, I guess. You know what I mean? Like it kind of felt it had that kind of feeling to it. So, and I remember just people around here being that excited for it because it was a throwback to like just that nitty gritty. Hey, we're only catering to just a wrestling fan versus we have to cater to everyone. So a city like Pittsburgh would work for that. Philly would obviously always work. You're New York, you're Boston, you're Chicago again. I don't know, man. I mean, I actually think they could, if definitely at least twice a year, they could probably do something like this. If they could line it up with the right promotions and I don't necessarily know if it would get old to people either. If it was done right.
One last thing I wanted to mention about All In, I want to give props to all 4 ladies in that Fatal 4-Way match because that was pretty good as well. Speaking of women wrestling as well, we had
Tess Blanchard's awesome. Awesome, yep. Awesome. And Chelsea Green, by the way, that's really the first time I really got to see her. I loved her. Thought she just came out of the screen. Thought she was phenomenal. So,
yeah, Chelsea Green's got the it factor.
Absolutely.
Speaking of women wrestling, we had the start of the Mania Classic, 2018 Mania Classic last night on the WWE Network. I'm not going to drop spoilers on here. If you guys haven't had a chance, please go check out the show. I thought the Mania Classic was a cool idea last year. It came out with a good batch of young, talented female wrestlers to the point where Shayna Baszler was one of the top stars at NXT. You have Dakota Kai, Bianca Belair, all these different people. I love these type of tournaments, whether it was the 205 Live or the Man Classic or the UK tournament. You get introduced to so many cool different wrestlers that you didn't know, and now they're featured on all these different shows. I mean, everybody on 205 Live was in the Cruiserweight Classic. Like I mentioned earlier, some of the people from last year's Man Classic was part of the NXT Women division now. So it's really cool. So we have Renee Young and Beth Phoenix, the dynamic duo, doing commentary with Michael Cole. So I thought they did a good job last night. But if you haven't had a chance, please check out the Man Classic. And another plug here. Speaking of women who are doing podcasts, check out Ringside Revolution. Shout out to my buddy MJ Santee. Check out her podcast. It's pretty good. So let's talk a little bit about the week for WWE, as we're 2 weeks out from Hell in the Cell. Hell in the Cell is going to be in San Antonio. Anytime I think about San Antonio, I start chuckling because Charles Barkley always rips the women in San Antonio, and it's funny, but he's not insulting in a way where he's like, man, all those big old women in San Antonio chopping down the churros. But the funny thing is, Charles Barkley is also shoving down the churros too. So,
oh man, when he's not getting DUIs. But hey, the only thing I usually think about with San Antonio is how the Alamo definitely does not have a basement. And
the Rumble was there last year, right?
Maybe, sure. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with yes. You're probably fake news, but I'll go with yes. But no, you know what? The other thing with San Antonio that I'll toss out there. There's a really good correlation I can make. San Antonio, whether a lot of people like it or not, and from somebody that prefers exciting basketball, I didn't necessarily like it, but give them their due. They were a very dominant team for a long time, right? I mean, you couldn't touch them. Fundamentally, they were flawless. They weren't flashy, no drama. They went out there, they got the job done, game after game after game after game. Kind of like a guy named Roman Reigns, huh?
Oh, yes.
You're welcome. You're fucking welcome. I'm here every Thursday, sometimes on a Friday.
So the Shield got on Monday. Yeah, they got mollywopped by a bunch of skeezers and hooly hoots.
So let me get this. Let me just ask a question first. So let's start with this, but let me throw the question at you first for a change, because I want you to rant on this. Because I saw that there's some people I hear that people might not be as happy with Raw again for the second week in a row. And is it just because finally WWE is making you hate the bad guys, or is it what is it, Josh? Is it that it looks like that I prefer gray area characters as well too, but it looks like they're totally trying to establish who the baby faces are and who the heels are. And is it more because of or people just don't think that the writing was that good on the show, or the segment wasn't good, or whatever,
I don't know. I've been saying this for fucking 6 years by March. I've been asking this same question and having the same thought in my mind. I don't know what the fuck people want anymore. I don't know what people want in wrestling anymore. It's 10 million things about this or that that's not even relevant to the point of why we watch this shit in the first place. There's a charm to wrestling where it's not supposed to make sense. I always get a kick every Monday night while I'm at work, and while I can't watch the show live, I'll go on Twitter during a break or something, and I see people just acting like the world's gonna come to an end because promos or certain segments don't make sense. Like you're fucking Shakespeare, or you're a professor at a college of English and grammar and this and that. Wrestling is the most illogical form of entertainment. I mean, we were talking about a guy coming down to the ramp with druids, dildo druids, and you're supposed to tell me that makes sense and this and that. But it's a long played out story. They said that Joey Ryan was killed by Hangman Page, and I know conveniently. I watch it every week. It's funny. I like what they do. I
was
follow
so
their
ridiculous.
stories, and there's stuff they do on there that doesn't make sense either. But that's fine. Wrestling's not supposed to make sense.
Yeah, his boots were talking to him. Like, what kind of sociopath do you have to be be like, oh my god? Like,
yeah,
I know wrestling's different. But
I'm wrapping a hotel telephone around somebody's neck and hitting it in the head so he can fall off a ladder. Like,
you know, back in my day, wrestling was different. But these days, they got talking boots. They got people killing people. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like the bum fights of pro wrestling. You got to see this shit. You know, that's what I feel like people are like sometimes.
I think certain pockets of the fans can't accept the fact that WWE's actually pushing their younger talent now.
Well, you know what, and I actually have a question.
Because it doesn't fit their narrative, because they have to be right.
Yeah, that's always part of it.
When their favorites are not in certain positions, everything is wrong. They're pushing their talents. They're pushing homegrown talents. Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Homegrown talents, right? All came from developmental. Let's keep going down the list here. Alexa Bliss, Braun Strowman, The Miz. I won't put Daniel Bryan because he was his own entity.
Right. Well, you know what though? Let me ask this question though, because I do think it's more of a I think it's more of a preference on how we want our good guys to be booked now. And hear me out on this one. And I know, guys, I know we don't want to hear. I know there's a lot of people that are tired of the good guy, bad guy conversation, which I am too. Protagonist, antagonist, I get it. Heel, baby face, whatever. I mean, however you want to label it. It's always light versus dark, good versus evil. Typically is you need that. You need that usually to tell a story. Once things get too gray, typically that's when things crumble. You need more of a light and a dark, a good and a bad. With that being said, Josh, stories are written so that ultimately, storytelling 9 times out of 10 is written so that the good guy has to overcome obstacles to achieve a certain goal, no matter what it is, whether it be a championship title, whether it be getting revenge on for their family, redemption for their family, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Now that's how especially as a little kid, that's how at least I always looked at the stories. That's why I kind of liked the bad guys a little more too, because they were always beating the shit out of everyone. It just sucked watching pay-per-views on a squiggly line television, because hearing Gorilla Monsoon always say that my favorite wrestler lost, that kind of sucked. Now, all of my childhood trauma aside, here's my question. Do you think that because it was large scale, it was a brief moment in time, people are still attached to that era? And although he was absolutely a gray area character that was never supposed to be babyface, never acted babyface, we look at Stone Cold Steve Austin as a babyface, but he was a babyface that really 9 times out of 10 got over. It was rare that somebody finally got one over on the rattlesnake. Now, I almost feel like, just like people want to blame CM Punk for a certain way that how people look at characters now, just like people want to blame John Cena for a certain way that people would look at certain characters, for a certain way. Could we say that the way that he was booked back in the day, it almost, for an entire generation of wrestling fans, made us think, wait a minute, the good guy's always supposed to win. The good guy's always supposed to win. How come my good guy always gets beat up? They're making him look weak. Because I've noticed it over the past 10 years, that's been the narrative, or that's been the talking point, or that's been what people say. And it's like, hey man, the baby faces are supposed to get the shit kicked out of them all the time. The odds are supposed to be, this is what the Shield should have been whenever they initially turned babyface, or you know what I mean, or whatever. This is a long time coming. So for anybody to be, I guess, upset with oh my, that just doesn't make sense. This makes total sense, or am I wrong? I don't know.
We're seeing what was supposed to happen last year with the Shield before Roman got the mumps and Dean got injured. This is the Shield we were supposed to see.
Them damn mumps.
Yep, the mumps. God damn it. But it's just something me personally I don't understand where we're trying to make logic out of everything in wrestling. It's just not. Especially from a wrestling point of view, in matches and this and that. But like, I don't know what story right now is to the point where you're frustrated and it doesn't make sense as a whole. Because Finn Balor had one of the spotlighted moments at SummerSlam this year, took Roman Reigns to the limit in a title match the next night, and also main evented this week's Raw, by the way, but he's being booked poorly. I don't understand that talking point.
Because it's a short-sighted talking point, Josh. People don't understand that 6 months from now, the only people that are still going to be bitter about that next night on Raw or the whatever Raw after are Finn Balor fans. Most people are only going to remember the Demon coming back and squashing Baron Corbin at SummerSlam. That's a huge spot for him. It was short. It was unexpected. We don't get squash matches. It was played perfectly by both men. But I mean, it was done perfectly. But like you said, Josh, people are going to complain because, well, that's not good enough. Well, what is? I mean, that to me, that was one of the biggest spots of the night.
There's two threads on Raw right now that is placating through the entire show. One is to take out the Shield at any cost, whether it's Rollins or Reigns or Ambrose. Those three guys are the three pillars of that company. Whether you're a fan or not, I just objectively speaking, those are the three top guys in the company. You want to add AJ Styles to the list? That's cool. You want to add somebody else, a top 5 list is cool. But the last 5 years, it's been the building blocks of Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins. They are the destructive force. That's why there's the Shield, right? They're the new guys taking out the old guard of the company and everything Roman Reigns is, I'm defending my yard. This is my yard. The Shield are brotherhood. This is our yard. We're serving justice. That's the whole story of Raw. And then you have the backdrop of Stephanie McMahon being the evil commissioner of the show, where you have Constable Baron Corbin. Kevin Owens, I've been saying this for 2 years. Kevin Owens has been doing dirty work for Stephanie McMahon on Raw and SmackDown the last 2 years. They don't say it up front on television that he's part of the Authority, but hell, anybody with common sense could tell you that Kevin Owens is part of the Authority. Why did Kevin Owens attack the Shield from behind when he started a feud with Bobby Lashley Monday night? He's part of the Authority. This is where I get frustrated. So at the beginning of the show, Baron Corbin gets the Shield arrested. They kick them out of the building, right? They come back and they want to have another brawl with Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre at the end of the show. You don't think Corbin told Owens, hey, I tried to fix this shit earlier. It didn't work out. You will make a difference.
You know what's funny about the wrestling fan, though? If the Shield, by the way, coming back, music blaring, like coming back in like the paddy wagon, you know what I mean? Like grand entrance. If they would have came back in and wiped the ring clean, the internet still would have complained that how predictable. You mean no one else is going to come out? How it isn't any? Either way, there's going to be complaints. Now here's where I think that, and I was thinking about this the other day. After a second thought, maybe it's a little too convoluted, and there'd be too many moving parts to make it happen. But here was just my thought, and hear me out on this one. There's something that everybody's kind of wanted for a long time. Where's Survivor Series this year?
L.A.
It's in L.A., right? Okay. There's something that people have been begging for a long time, and they've been saying that Survivor Series would probably be the best place for it. Do you know what that is? I think it's a little thing called War Games.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to be like a not-for-nothing kind of guy, but not for nothing. I mean, I kind of see the Shield form. Obviously, they have their little thing. You have Braun and Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, but how do we fully know that they're on the same page as Stephanie and Kevin Owens and Baron Corbin? Because ultimately, where does the briefcase come into play? And what I'm trying to say is that, you know, in everybody's complaints about what's going on, and this is probably not going to happen, but they could be setting something up as something as glorious as having like a War Games type of deal where you have an Authority faction versus Strowman and Ziggler and McIntyre versus the Shield. Can you, in LA, you know, that's a huge stage. Fans have wanted it for a long time. And because we have to go on a week by week show of a total meltdown and fine tooth comb of things instead of thinking, let's just see where this goes. Because I still think the Money in the Bank briefcase plays into it. There's still a lot of time to go before the end of the year. Josh, I think it's just that everybody is so used to instant gratification in their lives, no matter what it is. Think about it, work-wise. It doesn't matter if you're off. It doesn't. I mean, there is no off anymore. There's no off. There's no. Yeah. I'm doing emails at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing work at 3 in the morning if I'm still up. I'm sometimes napping in the middle of the afternoon because that's the freedom that my job gives me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I get to work kind of, you know, whenever I want to. So but it's one of those, it's kind of in a wrestling kind of situation. For I guess for this story, I have no idea why I spent off on that way. But in this situation, I don't think that everybody's going to be on the same page when ultimately the goal is still that championship, you know? And if somebody is in Hell in the Cell and with all these things, I think that, I don't know, I think that we're just, everybody focuses too much on the here and the now and the why isn't it right now? Like I said with the emails, everything's now. Instead of saying, wait a minute, okay, this is what they're giving me today. Why are they giving me this? I wonder what is planned for next week or the next pay-per-view or the, you know.
I thought this week was a tale of the company serving two masters, with the fact that the men are not having like a big feature show besides the Super Showdown thing at the beginning of October, right? So Evolution is the main pay-per-view of October. We all know that. So you have to get Hell in the Cell that's coming up in 2 weeks, and we got this Evolution thing, and you know, I'm a taker, Mark. I love the stuff with him and HBK. I thought it was really cool. The crowd was into it. I guess that's what matters, right? The in-house crowd of what their reaction is.
A little foreshadowing there, huh? Listen, and you know what, Josh? I think too, for this being a Labor Day show, we actually talked about this last week, where typically the holiday shows are, you get your couple moments, but it's more of not a letdown show, but it's the holidays, man. You know, people are just kind of taking it easy. It's, you know, I don't really feel like they took it easy this year. You know, no. I actually felt like this was an absolute complete show. I don't know. I mean, that's
they had a lot of different things with the build-up with their stories, especially on Raw. Dana Brooke quit Titus Worldwide. Mm-hmm. Kevin Owens came back and attacked Bobby Lashley, so we'll see what's going on with them. See if I could add on to the list. Oh, Drake Maverick is part of the Authors of Pain.
That was cool. that was real cool. I like that.
A little something out of the box.
He looked so goofy. But so there's like 2 Shield factions going on right now. Real quick though, brother, let me just
pants.
Yeah, right. Let me just they're probably getting a discount buying bulk. Autograph them, you know, auction them off, getting their money back. But just out of curiosity, brother, what would you think about like a slow build to, you know, a War Games type of deal at Survivor Series?
Well, I don't want to hurt precious NXT fans because they get in their feelings, especially during TakeOver weekends. So I know LA, it's Survivor Series weekend. It's usually NXT TakeOver War Games. Oh, it's an NXT thing. I think it'd be cool. I want to see if there's a third element to this because Bray Wyatt's been dropping some cryptic tweets on social media.
Kill 'em all?
Yeah.
There's nothing cryptic about kill 'em all. I'm behind you. I'm behind Bray, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to form his own group. By the way, Bray Wyatt had a couple of salty tweets about the trade the other day. I saw that as well.
Did he? Wait. Is he a Raiders fan?
Yes.
Get the hell out of here. No shit.
Yes.
Oh, he is the one that I'm supposed to follow. I knew it.
Yes. Brother. On the SmackDown tip, the vignettes for the Jeff Hardy Randy Orton match for Hell in a Cell, I thought was pretty cool. Especially Jeff Hardy's side of the promo. I talked about this last week. This is really Jeff's like big thing he wanted to do when he came back was having the Hell in a Cell match. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I know there's a lot of stuff with Randy Orton and the whole stuff of how he handled the Riders, and we don't need to get into that, but
I think it was more about how they handled him.
I know Randy Orton, the character, has always been twisted, but they're taking it the next step here with this feud. But I like the stuff they did with Becky and Charlotte. That interview they did with Tom Phillips. I thought that was cool. Miz and Daniel Bryan. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me, but every time I hear Bryan or Brie cut a promo, it's like, can somebody come out and beat their ass?
See, no, I'm cool. I actually love this. Sam saying that right now this is her favorite division in WWE. Is the intergender divisions or the mixed tag division, whatever. Yeah, I guess mixed tag is probably, right now she absolutely said that's 100% her favorite division right now. The way that they're telling the stories, and she actually always says, she laughs and she's like, but then don't forget, and she'll always tell me, she was like, married couples will never work in WWE because you always have to market yourself as single. Like shit, and it's just funny, man, because it like everything is working so well. It's such an extra layer that that they it is a nice division, a nice addition to the show, I think. But no, I'm not. I like Daniel Bryan and Brie when they come out. I actually like this back and forth. I would prefer, if we're going to knock Brie Bella, because she's the better Bella anyway, but if we're going to knock Brie, can we at least knock her for the suicide dive that was not? That was
or having to bring out napkins and clean my ears anytime Brie mode is activated on
yeah, my God, yeah, that's bad. But you know what? Real quick, not to kind of like loop back to All In. The one thing I do want to say that because we always nitpick certain things on certain. They needed to stop with tope suicida, lope suicida, tope suicida, lope suicida. I know, we get it, and I know they use that move a lot. I get it, but all right. I was like in my dreams. I was going tope suicida, lope suicida.
Being a Hispanic, I appreciate the acknowledgement for the Spanish words, but
absolutely,
we know what a somersault plancha is. I don't need tope cogido.
It's that's what I mean. Like, it was cool in small doses, but it was just all right already. We get it. You're just trying to be overly technical instead of just saying suicide dive. I get it. But just come on.
Graves is really digging in with his sources, man. He's dying on certain hills, which I think is pretty funny.
Graves?
Especially on SmackDown. And Phillips and Sachs are just disgusted by his foul comments.
It's great.
It's awesome.
It's great, yeah. I'm telling you, man, Graves is fun. Graves is fun to have on both shows.
What did you think with the R-Truth Carmella stuff? I thought that was pretty funny.
I've actually wanted to bring this up the past couple weeks. This has been some of the funniest shit that R-Truth's ever done.
Yes.
Dude, this is how. Did you ever think a gimmick where a dude is trying to fight a woman, going, "Well, I guess that's how I'm getting my match." Come on, man.
Now they're tag partners for the mixed match challenge, which is pretty cool.
What I really liked about it though was we always say there's never a payoff. There's never a payoff. This, that, and the other thing. WWE does this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. They're making Truth look like a fool. Ultimately, we were the ones that were made fools of, because the payoff was that Truth ended up being in the main event match. All the stupidity, all the weeks of playing dumb. You're playing dumb as a fox. That's all you're doing, and I don't know. To me, again, that's subtle storytelling that we miss. He got into that by playing dumb.
If everything's so bad right now in WWE, why was R-Truth Miz main event on SmackDown effective? Think about that. In 2018, you think a R-Truth Miz main event, a tag team that was 7 years ago, fighting each other. I thought that was pretty cool. Lastly, like we said, there's a lot of stuff coming up with this Hell in the Cell show, and then the Super Showdown. Triple H and Mick Foley are going to be on the show next week, so that should be pretty interesting. Bell Twins are going to keep doing what they're doing. I don't know if this thing is setting up her and Ronda Rousey. I heard a rumor about that.
Absolutely.
Fighting Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely, brother. You know that. Listen, the fans aren't going to keep kissing Nikki Bella's ass this long. They're already like, come on. They're going to get. She's going to get turned on like in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, second thing.
Hold up, really quick. Nikki's getting like the pots for her looks now, and then once she goes for the title, it's like boo.
Why is it the Rack Attack 2.0? Isn't it the same thing, or is it a little different? I don't know. It's the same thing, isn't it?
I don't know. It's something where she jumped on her knees.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is more of like an old TKO. That's right. She did that. Yeah, before she just dropped her. Like it was like a more. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I'm sorry.
Backbreaker wreck.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So there was a little bit difference. Okay. I'm totally cool with it now. Okay. I totally forgot about that. But okay. So question number 2. Yeah, I would think because and Nikki Bella is better as a heel anyway. She's not good as a babyface. She's just not. But number 2. Does Brie Bella have a show, or does she just go wherever the hell she wants? Because she's obviously just on both shows all the time now.
She's a mom, man. Moms can do what they want.
I think that one quick takeaway too. It was great having Renee Young back on commentary, and this was another episode where I felt like it was a great episode to challenge her with Undertaker being there, with HBK being there, with some of the little intricacies of this, like the big in a way that takeover segment at the end of where like the whole roster spills out and obliterates the Shield. I just think that there was a lot of unique style segments that. Granted, she's a professional, and what the hell am I talking about? But it was just good to not hear her sound out of place. In a way, I do think that there's a certain percentage of the fan base that wants her to fail just because there's haters out there. And she's a woman, and I hate that I'm saying that, but I do. I truly feel that there's people out there that hope that she fails, and I'm thrilled that every time that she gets opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, she keeps hitting home run after home run after home run. So, and her and Graves' chemistry is fantastic when they do. Like her, Cole, and Graves together, all three of them. We leave Cole out a lot because people want to hate on Cole for whatever reason, but I don't know. I thought all three did a good job.
My favorite line of the week was for The Miz. We're going to drop Brian and Bree quicker than a defense is going to drop Matthew Stafford. That was gold.
that was low-hanging fruit. Yeah, that was kind of cheap. That was cheap. I appreciated the kamikaze reference by Graves.
It's cheap for the casual fan, but as a fan of the NFC North, I thought that was gold.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. No. Listen, there's nothing wrong with low-hanging fruit. Sometimes it's the best fruit. So,
I wonder, the funny thing is like Detroit was chanting Cleveland sucks, and yes, Cleveland does suck, but what sucks more, Detroit or Cleveland, or they just cancel each other out?
Oh, I've been to both cities. I'm going to stay out of this one because it's not like Pittsburgh's that much cleaner than either city.
Pleading the fifth.
Yeah, that's no stones being thrown here. This is literally the worst town I've ever been in.
This is the worst town. I love those guys. Then the funny thing, they're ripping Philadelphia, and then they're rocking Rocky Balboa gear on the pre-show. It's funny. Anyways, it's time for some football.
All right, here we go.
Podcast.
Here we go.
Return of the Mac. Yes, it is. All right, go ahead.
All right, let me set this up because not that I do a football podcast on the side and I'm pretend to be a host for that, but maybe I'm just a host of a football podcast on the side. Listen, I don't watch football like some of you guys out there do. I watch my Raiders, and even then I I think some of you guys need to get a life. I think in a way, and I mean that honestly. I mean I mean that in the most motivating way possible.
Yes.
Like there's 168 hours in a week. You guys are complaining, complain all the time, but my God, it's all this stuff. But for me, it's fun to just kind of like play the devil's advocate, so to speak, and like kind of play the middleman in football debates and whatever. Now in this one, we're not going to do that as much, Josh. This one, it's going to be because I don't want to pretend like I'm an NFL know-it-all. I'm not. I don't want to pretend like I'm a football know-it-all. I certainly am not. I don't want to pretend like I know the ins and outs of business. I do not. But it seems like there's the Raider Nation. There was some issues. There was moments. Your Bears had some moments this weekend. There was a crack in the foundation for a minute. I don't know. We're going to have some talking points back and forth, but it was a big weekend for anybody internationally that might be listening. When it comes to American football, I support the Oakland Raiders, soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders of England and San Diego of San Jose in San Antonio. I don't know. Pretty soon we're not going to have a home, but we're the Raiders. We're notoriously the worst team in football. Josh is a Chicago Bears fan. He's from the city of Chicago. Why don't I support the Pittsburgh Steelers? I don't like quarterbacks that are multi-time alleged rapists. That's all. I actually love the Pittsburgh Steelers team. I think their team's they're unbelievable to watch. I can't get behind somebody that has that many allegations on them. Sorry, but. That all aside, I've been a Raiders fan since I was like 3 or 4 years old, so it's just been one of them 34 year long. I always say it's a hard thing being a Raiders fan, and as a Raiders fan, we always wait for the bottom to drop out. So a couple years ago, Josh, whenever we were having that really good season, everyone was like, "Man, you're going to the Super Bowl." I said, "Just give it time. Something's going to happen, an injury or just something." Oh no, and I just remember Derek Carr's knee snapping, and then my dad looking over at me, and I just looked at him and I said, "I told you." Because as a Raider fan, we know that we're one tuck rule away, one Bo Jackson hip away, one Derek Carr leg break away. We're always one moment away from greatness. And that's just the story of being the Oakland Raiders fan or being a member of the Raider Nation.
Raider Nation.
Now, that being said, it's a much different story for your Chicago Bears. Talk to us briefly about your Bears. Talk to us what defense means to your Chicago Bears. And because the Raiders were a different breed, I don't want to get into us. You guys can do stories on the Raider Nation and how it's an all-inclusive, it's an inclusive welcoming of degenerates that the rest of the world didn't want. But the Bears are a very passionate fan base that was probably their most dominant when somebody from my hometown was running your fucking football team. So you should probably be doing a lot of thanking to Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. But your Chicago Bears, Josh. Talk to us about them. Then we will discuss this trade that happened over the weekend.
I'll try to make this quick as possible. I know you're on time. It's important to add context, and I hope you guys get a good picture of what the theme song or the intro song for this week's podcast is going to be.
You're starting it with that, aren't you? It's like salt in the wound.
Yep. Yes, sir. Chicago, blue-collar city. The actual charter franchise of the NFL. Anytime you think about the Chicago Bears, besides having a Jay Cutler meme of smoking on social media, it's known about one thing, and it's defense. From Bill George to Dick Butkus to Mike Singletary, Dan Hampton, Otis Wilson, Wilbur Marshall.
Chris Farley doing a skit on Saturday Night Live. The Bears.
Brian Urlacher, who just went to the Hall of Fame. Alex Brown, Lance Briggs, Charles Tillman with the peanut punch. By the way, Charles Tillman, future Hall of Famer, in my opinion, revolutionizing how corners are played in the NFL today, in my point of view, especially with forcing fumbles. So shout out to the peanut. But you look at the Chicago Bears, and it's not known about quarterbacks, and it's not even known by receivers. It's two things: running backs and defense, and especially linebackers. So let me just say, when you acquire
and the greatest name in football history, Dick Butkus. Yes. I repeat, Dick Butkus.
when you have the ability to acquire a superstar and that superstar plays a position that's the symbol of your franchise, let's just say fans in the city of Chicago are elated. Christmas came early. We're not even at Halloween yet, and we had an early Christmas gift come on Saturday morning. And I'm pumped. I'm trying to find the words to say because I was already pumped already for the Bears season as a whole because our new head coach, who's also a Pennsylvanian, by the way, is pretty exciting in his own way in trying to bring an actual offense to Chicago. If this works with Matt Nagy in the offense, I think you'll hear more of the monster of the midway in the NFL the next 5 to 10 years. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm excited for this football team. I'll say my predictions real quick because I know we need to get to the trade, but let's just say your boy was super, super pumped on a Saturday morning when I usually don't wake up that early on a Saturday morning.
Well, here's the funny part is that when the news came through, it kind of changed the morning a little bit because I didn't expect it.
That's the start of college football.
It was a little shocking. Now, I want you to talk about it from a Bears perspective first before we talk about it from a Raiders perspective, because I think people are looking at it, and I'm not trying to sound like, constantly defending my Raiders, but I actually think that people are looking at this all wrong. I want you to talk about why it's good for your Bears, what you're looking forward to, and then I'm going to kind of break down some things about why this might not have necessarily been the worst thing for the Raiders.
Outside of wrestling and music,
I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but I guess real quick for any international fans out there, I guess just to keep this in mind, this was Khalil Mack getting traded from Oakland got traded from the Oakland Raiders to the Chicago Bears for a couple first round draft picks. This is almost like, I guess this would be like Pele in his prime getting put on loan or transfer to a different, to a different team or something. Like, I'm trying to think of how I could compare this, because it's to maybe people that aren't as, but it's arguably the best defensive player in the league, getting traded for first round draft picks in the future, and kind of like, so it's not just like some guy going from one team to another. This is like a humongous deal. This dude's getting paid $23 million a year, $90 million confirmed, or $90 million guaranteed up front, and I think it's a 5-year deal, 6-year deal, something like that. Six. So okay, so that's why it's such a big deal. But go ahead, Justin.
So besides wrestling and music, when I have my free time out of work, I am a big advocate of sports. Growing up as a kid, I studied stats. I watched a lot of sports. The football was always my favorite sport, and I would always watch, especially the last couple of years since football teams got their own YouTube channels and that. I watched every press conference, every interview, and I also listened to sports talk radio because I'm a big Chicago sports fan. Now, I'm not a Chicago sports fan that's going to rub things in your face or the common things that you hear about my city. I kind of keep it low key because there's some knuckleheads in our city, and I feel too many times as a Chicago sports fan we try to act like we're New York or Boston, and we're not. The hot takes can be nauseating as I listen to a local Morty show, but that's what comes with the territory nonetheless. So I felt like there's a changing of the guard for the franchise. The Bears have been the butt of everybody's jokes for the last 10 to 15 years since we went to that Super Bowl in Miami.
Easy with that, kid. You went in 2007. Okay, the 2006 season, 2007 is the Super Bowl you played in. The last time we went was the 2002 season, which was the 2003 Super Bowl, and have been putrid ever since. The one playoff year we had to start our backup quarterback because, a guy that never even took a snap in a game. So when it comes to laughing stocks, we have you beat. And I actually think Cleveland might have us beat.
Yeah, but it's close with all three franchises. I don't
know. I don't feel like the Bears get picked on as much as the Raiders. people love to hate the Raiders, dude. Like, people want the Bears to do good because it is tradition. People hate. We're the villains. We're the league villains, man. People hate us.
There's a sentiment out there. I was watching Rich Eisen on the NFL Network the other day. He's like, the NFL is better when the Bears are playing good football.
Absolutely.
Or whatever, for business-wise or something like that.
Maybe same with the Raiders.
Maybe because they are the original franchise, so I guess that's why. But
well, it helps that it's the second city.
Just dealing with the whole Jay Cutler experience over the last 5 to 10 years has not been fun. And, everybody in a way still feels like this is the Mark Trestman Bears where, you make some new moves, but, you're going to get blown out by Packers because you don't have an offense. But not really paying attention to what the team has been building through the last couple of years. When you have a rebuild, you're going to have shitty teams. As much as I respect John Fox as a football mind to anybody else who knows who John Fox is, that guy was walking into a lose-lose situation. He went to the Super Bowl. He got his ass kicked by the Seahawks. He got fired the next year, and he came to a rebuilding team. The Bears were not going to do anything with John Fox, so it was all about acquiring new talent. And I want to give a prop to my GM because our GM gets a lot of crap because a lot of Chicago sports fans don't apply substance to the words that come out of their mouths when they call it to radio shows and not understanding what team building actually means. If you look at the overall roster of the Bears and the main players that they rely on, 85% of them are drafted players. 85% of them, especially a defense that Khalil Mack is joining on Sunday as they play the Packers. Eddie Goldman, drafted. Adrian Amos, drafted. Eddie Jackson, drafted. Kyle Fuller, drafted. Roquan Smith, drafted. Let's see, keep going here. Nick Witkowski, drafted. Roy Robinson Harris, DN, drafted. So 7 out of the 11 players on the starting defense are drafted players. Akeem Hicks, who Ryan Pace drafted in New Orleans because Ryan Pace used to work for the Saints before he came to the Bears, another drafted player. Danny Trevathan was a John Fox guy. He came in a couple years ago. He's dealt with some injuries over the last couple of seasons. And the big star of the finish this puzzle here, Khalil Mack. When you have an opportunity to acquire a superstar, when you've been rebuilding and reshaping your team for the last 3 years, you need to take advantage of those opportunities. The team was ranked 10th in defense last year, and I think people are sleeping on a team because, they have their perspective on Trubisky. And it's funny, like, I don't know how you could assess the quarterback after 1 year. And if you actually watched the Bears games as close as I did, and the receivers we had and the type of offense we were running last year, hell, Deshaun Watson wouldn't even have as much touchdowns as Trubisky had with the offense we were running last year.
Yeah, but Watson was hurt most of the year, wasn't he?
Huh?
Wasn't Watson hurt most of the year?
Yeah, he got injured. By the way, second ACL surgery, by the way, for those keeping score at home. Trubisky came in, and we had to deal with Mike Glennon for 5 games. That wasn't a lot of fun, but hey, we were moving on for Jay Cutler, so you're going to take a couple blows along the way. Some growing pains, if you will, as Dusty Rhodes would say. But the team, I felt, has taken a step because we had Jordan Howard, who's one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. The guy who was drafted in the 5th round from Indiana and he had to transfer from a college who shut down a football program and didn't get as much hype as Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette got a couple seasons ago. This dude's a beast. Yeah, he's not speedy like a Todd Gurley or David Johnson or something like that, but I'll take a running back that just trucks people like Jerome Bettis did back in the day. That guy's a beast. Yards for days. And another drafted player who broke out last year against the Steelers, Tariq Cohen. That guy is a very good player as well. The whole thing with the offense, everybody last year was like, we need to get Trubisky weapons. So we get Allen Robinson from the Jaguars last year. I felt bad for him because he tore his ACL week 1 of last season. So this dude should be full set and ready to go as far as rehab is concerned. And the dude had 14 touchdowns a couple of seasons ago. With Blake Bortles, by the way, I want to make that clear. Allen Robinson had a 14 touchdown season with Blake Bortles, who people consider as one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. That's nuts.
I don't know if they consider. I don't know who considers him the worst. I don't know.
I'm not saying that he is, but it's the sentiments out there. So I'm excited for the team. When we did the predictions last time, I remember when we talked about the Bears, I had them as 8-8. Just as a goal, I didn't have them making the playoffs or making a NFC championship run or anything like that. I felt like next year was the year we take the big deals in the NFC. So I'm switching my record to 9-7. I'm keeping it there.
I feel one win. So $23 million a year is worth that one extra win.
For now, because I feel like the defense. I feel like
$23 million to be 9-7 and still not make playoffs.
Well, the team was 5-11 last year, so I think a 4-win improvement. I'm looking at the context as a team, not just Khalil Mack.
Right. But understand the expectations that are coming along with this trade, there, brother. That's the unfortunate side of it, I think. Because listen, you're right. I think for you guys, it was a good move because offensively, you're not going to be sinking a lot of money into your offense as far as salary cap wise goes.
Yeah,
so
for
you
a couple of years.
Yeah, so you could pay him. The thing about Mac is, and this is where, listen, I'm going to take the high road and say he's a class act, and you guys are going to get a hell of a player. One thing I think that was very misleading was the press conference where he stated, well, it just feels nice to feel wanted. Dude, there's not a player, fan, person in that organization that didn't want him in silver and black. It's just that you can't ask of an organization that's about to relocate to financially cripple itself for the duration of your entire career so that we have this quote, once in a generation talent, but we're still giving up 24 points a game. But we gave up damn near 4,500 yards last year. So with this once in a generation talent that we would be sinking all of this money into and not making playoffs because we have our we have money tied in on the other end of the ball on the offensive side.
Yeah.
It to me, I don't understand how we lost in this. People could say whatever they want. I understand, but if re-signing Khalil Mack means that we have to have 7 more losing seasons and get settled in Las Vegas before we finally start turning it around, thank you for taking him off our hands. I think it really is going to depend on who the Raiders take with these draft picks. That's ultimately, no one's going to know who won or lost with this, until the draft picks happen and, the careers are done. I mean, this is something that we won't really know. But when you're looking at it from a business standpoint right now, we weren't even close to what you guys were offering. And so I don't know. I just feel like he's playing the victim card a little bit too much in this. And typically when a player's playing the victim card, woe is me, they didn't want to pay me, nobody respected me. My concern is they're chasing the check and they're chasing that check. And once they get that check, they're not really that same player anymore, And I look at it this way. That's $23 million now that, again, we're giving up 24 points a game. That's going to seal up, with Khalil Mack on the field. Now that's $23 million that maybe we can get 4 different players, maybe secure upper secondary a little bit. Maybe just even out our defense so that we're a bend but don't break defense that everyone's playing now. There's no real, it's a bend but don't break league now. And I feel like, granted, it sucks losing a player of this magnitude. I hate that the Raiders were put in this position, but they already paid Derek Carr. I'm sure that Amari Cooper's contract's going to be coming, is coming. They have to pay him. There's some other players that need paid too. And when your 3 best players, Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, and Khalil Mack, are all the same age, unfortunately, you're going to lose one. And I think that keeping the quarterback wide receiver chemistry was necessary. And again, our defense wasn't good with him on the field. I don't understand where all the kickback. What are we going to give up 26 points a game now? Ooh, still need 27 to win a game. So it's you know what I mean. So in a way, for me, I feel like the Raiders did it absolutely. I feel like he was like Josh. I kept saying week after week on here. The Raiders just have too many distractions right now. They need to eliminate it. He didn't want to be in Oakland, and I hope that he does have a better. I hope and wish him nothing but success.
He got what he wanted, but from a Bears perspective, I feel if you wanted like a optimistic record of what I think the team could be, if everything clicked on all cylinders, I would go with 11-5.
Wow, that's optimistic.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. I think it would be cool. I think my confidence with the team is the fact that our players are young. Most of the core is young. The oldest player we have on the team is Kyle Long, and he's like 31, I think, or Chase Daniel, the backup quarterback. So my optimistic view is 11-5, but it's also my thoughts on the division as a whole because there's been a lot of changes, not just with my team, but the Vikings changed their quarterback, a quarterback who I don't think makes that much of a difference for their football team as much as good as their defense is. The Packers, their big gets is 2 injury-prone players in Jimmy Graham and Muhammad Wickerson. And when you fire your defensive coordinator and your GM in the same offseason, not saying they won't make the playoffs, but I don't know how you're a Super Bowl contender like that.
Right. I don't see that.
And who knows? Maybe Detroit shocks everybody. Everybody's talking about the Packers and the Vikings. Who knows? Maybe this new coach for the Lions finally gets them up to speed, and Stafford's actually a top 10 quarterback after all. Well, that's the fun part of the division. There's nobody right now, not Colin Cowherd, not Stephen A. Smith, not myself, not you, not anybody could have a definitive answer what any of these teams in the NFC North are going to be right now. And
hell no.
I'm in for the fun. So
listen, but here's the one thing, and the funny part is that everyone was acting like this is so earth shattering to the Raiders. Like, if anybody out there really thinks like, man, oh no, this just totally screws your team.
I appreciate the second round pick though.
Yeah, I don't know. And look,
I didn't understand.
Neither did John Gruden. But I think that if anybody is was like ha ha ha, you guys obviously just aren't paying attention. We weren't a playoff team before we traded Khalil Mack. We weren't. Josh, I said at best we were 8-8. We're at best. Our schedule this year dictates that. At best we're 8-8. Now without. It's actually funny, Josh. At first I was like, we'll go 6-10. It is what it is. But I actually don't know, man. I think I don't know if and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I really don't know if Khalil Mack makes a difference one way or another with this team. I honestly don't think. I might stay 8-8. Like I put him at 6-10, but I'm going to go 7-9 just to meet in the middle. But that's what I mean. This doesn't really, to me, make a difference for the Raiders this season. This season wasn't going to be a thing for the Raiders. It's about the future. So,
well, what's the success of your team going forward going to be about the offense or the defense? Because I thought it was going to be the offense.
Absolutely, the offense. I mean, Derek Carr is. They say Khalil Mack was our captain, Derek Carr was our captain. It depended on who you asked, and maybe that's a problem too. Yeah, because you're supposed to have and a defensive captain or offensive captain. I'm not saying I understand that, but ultimately everybody needs that one singular voice that can bring everyone together. And you know what? Maybe that isn't Derek Carr though too. Only time will tell.
Yes. But the biggest weakest part of our team was another second pass rusher besides Leonard Floyd, and we got that guy now, and we'll see what happens. It's gonna be fun. I mean, I was talking about this with you the other day on Sunday. When you have opportunities like that, you got to see what you get.
Have to take it. Listen.
When you have a young team and you feel like you're ready to take that next step, and the next 3 years is only going up and forward in the positive direction, you got to take that step.
Well, I always talk about with the NFL anymore, it's not about building dynasties. Like it's hard for teams to build teams like New England and Pittsburgh, where they're good every single year. That's the exception to the rule now. Teams typically have windows, and Josh, I think Chicago saw a window that if they could get a dominating defense, they feel like their offense is stable enough that they could win a Super Bowl with the defense that you guys put together with Khalil Mack being the missing puzzle piece. I feel like it is. It's all about. I actually talked about this. I think Pittsburgh might go far this year, just because I feel like a window's closing for them, and good teams rise to occasions when So I do. I think it was more of a. But here's my question, Josh. If you guys, let's say he's there 6 years, you guys only make the playoffs once, twice. That's it. Whatever. Was this a failure or was this a success? Like, what determines the success when it comes to this trade? Because this, to be quite honest, unless it's a Super Bowl trophy, unless it's the Lombardi, that's the kind of pressure that's being put on Khalil Mack right now.
Well, I don't think the pressure is solely based on Khalil Mack helping the Bears win the Super Bowl. I think it's
$23 million.
I get it's the money, but it's also the quarterback as well, because we have an offense that's filled with unknown answers.
Agreed,
so we know what the defense is, but if anything with this offense, gets really good or not, that determines whether or not they win the Super Bowl or not.
But when you pay somebody $23 million a year, 90 guaranteed, brother, that's saying this is the man that's winning us a championship.
I think the guy winning the championship for the defense is Roquan Smith.
I know, but I'm saying that the Chicago media is brutal. You know that, and that's just it's a little bit different. People aren't gonna.
They're delusional too at the same time.
Well, I'm not disagreeing there, but I just think that that's something else that people aren't thinking about. Like, people aren't going to be coddling him like he was getting coddled in Oakland, because in Oakland we got to kiss our good players' asses. Chicago, now you guys are paying him a mint. They're not going to take it easy on him. And what happens when he starts to get criticism now that maybe is fair or unfair? I think that's just the big myriad of things that could change. That's all.
I just think one thing going for Khalil Mack's side is the fact where our cap space is right now. Phil Yates from ESPN put out a list of the current cap space for every team. The Bears are at 15 right now, which is crazy with the amount of money we spent this offseason with different guys I was mentioning earlier, like Robinson and Gabriel and Trey Burton and all those other guys. To still have that amount of money, and it's going to be interesting how the next couple of seasons are going to come out. I'm not going to have a definitive stance. I just know I'm going to have fun watching Bears football finally.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah, and I got to wait all the way till Monday night. I got to wait all the way till 10:30 Monday night for the second game. Thanks, NFL.
Chris Berman on the call. Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Real quick, I want to get this out of the way real quick since we're talking about football. Super Bowl prediction for myself, I got the Rams beating the Jaguars.
I actually got Pittsburgh over Philly this year. I think Philly goes back. I just think Pittsburgh they're going to be a team of destiny this year, whether or not they have Le'Veon Bell or not. I think that this is just, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about it, man. I think Pittsburgh beats New England in an AFC Championship game, and then it's going to be an all Pennsylvania deal, and then I have to sit here and just hate myself for an entire 2 weeks while it's Pittsburgh. No, I'm kidding. No, I think I do. Actually, I rarely say this is the first time I've ever went into a season predicting this, but I do. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will win the Super Bowl this year. So.
Yeah, it'd also be cool if the Falcons won in their home stadium, so that'd be pretty cool too.
Screw them, it's overrated.
That's awesome. All right, man, ladies and gentlemen, that's been it for episode 122 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshy. Make sure to follow Adam on Twitter at AdamDaily13 or at Peaky Vice. Also, check out his show, by the way, the Third Stringers Podcast.
No, I'm not in any show. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No, there's no shows.
Check out his football podcast. It's pretty good. It's more enjoyable.
It's not mine. Listen, it's two of my buddies. Two of my buddies do a football podcast. I'm just a moderator. They're awesome. They're amazingly funny, and I'm just a guy. So, but yeah, it's not worth your time. For them, it is. Click for them. Yeah.
Bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. And if you ever have any thoughts on the show, what you'd like to see different, or anything else, if you like the show in general, just hit us up on social media. Love to hear your thoughts. And thank you guys, by the way, we check out last week's episode. We had a lot of good feedback and numbers-wise. So you guys are the real MVP. Shout out to all our good brothers and sisters. And hope you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy your football. Go Bears. Shout out to the Raider Nation, even though I brought in the Ice Cube thing at the beginning of the show.
Dirty,
I do have love for the Raider Nation. They have some cool gear. I'll say that.
That's dirty. Oh man. It's tough being a Raider fan. It's tough.
For the Clown Prince, I'm Notorious Josh Lopez. It is the return of the Mac. And we'll talk to you guys.
God damn it. All right. I hope, you know what, and I hope I'm so wrong and the Raiders end up actually making the playoffs and everybody ends up eating crow on this. There's a weird sadistic part of me that hopes that this just ends up being like the Raiders end up looking like geniuses in the end. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's just, if that happens, it's 2018, and to be quite honest, I just saw Druid dicks. Anything is possible.
On that note, we're out. Peace, motherfuckers.